Kagabi ho, nagpagbigay ng mensahe si Congressman Saldico. Ang sabi ni Congressman Saldico, kung papayagan ako doon sa i-file ninyong impeachment to become a state witness, kahit nasa Zoom, kasi ginagawa naman po natin yan under suspended rules, ay tatayo siya na witness dito sa grupo na nag-file ng impeachment case. Personal knowledge yung kanya. Nag-deliver siya nung sa 25 billion, nag-deliver siya sa Tamarind nung 800 and 200 million. Hindi, iba pa yun. Iba pa yung kay Yusek Bernardo at yung mga deliveries ng pera. So, at the proper time, Tina, magsasalita ako dyan, I will divulge it. Of course, alam kong critical na malaman sino ba lumapit, sino ba nagsalita, at ano yung kanyang interest to present. But what is important here, I think more importantly, is that Saldico is very critical. Sabi nga ni Harold, isang sindikato to na may nagsalita na at nagtuturo. Importanteng malaman natin ang katotohanan dito. Ito po, batay sa pinakita ni Atty. Manny Luna, andyan yung mga annexes evidence na hawak po namin. And this is the main impeachment complaint na hindi po tinanggap kahapon ng Office of the Secretary General. Yan po, tahasan naming sinasabi, mali, illegal, at labag sa ating saligang batas. Malinaw na pong sinabi ng Korte Suprema tungkol dito, marami ng desisyon. Ministerial ang pagtanggap ng Secretary General at ito po'y dadalhin sa Speaker's Office. Speaker's Office ibibigay sa plenaryo na kung saan ito po ay ilalagay o pag-uusapan sa Committee on Justice. So with that, nandito po yung ating mga abogado to discuss in particular. Siguro yung hindi natin masasabing exhaustively dahil dadan naman po ito sa mismong hearing, pero i-discuss yung grounds for impeachment na i-file po natin. Alam nyo, maraming nagtatanong, sinasabi nila, ano ang endgame? Ano ang nais ninyo? Bakit kayo nag-file sa Pangulong Bongbong Marcos? Sila po siguro kumisan parang surprise sila that we filed. But actually, kami ang nagugulat. Kami ang nasusurprise dahil hindi ba responsibilidad ng bawat Pilipino na malaman yung kurakot na nangyari, yung korupsyon na ginawa, yung mga paglabag na saligang batas ng opisina ng Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Ito ay responsibilidad ng bawat Pilipino, bawat isa sa amin, at ito rin po ang aming pananaw. Ang impeachment complaint, ang tanging proseso ng bawat isang Pilipino, wala nang iba. Each of us, individually and collectively, the only chance to file a case against the President is through an impeachment process. Hindi ka pwede mag-file sa Ombudsman, hindi ka pwede mag-file sa Presidente ng isang kaso, kung di sa impeachment process lamang. So with that, I'd like to present the lawyers who would be discussing the grounds for impeachment. I will first give the mic to Attorney Jing Paras.
I just want to add, alam mo kasi, the responsibility of the President is overwhelming. Maraming nagsasabi na sector or even the people around him are saying si Presidente ang nagpapaimbestiga. But kami, sa grupo namin, we don't believe na siya ang nagpapaimbestiga. Ang belief namin ay siya ang mastermind. Siya ang numero uno na kurakot sa bansa natin. But how do we make him accountable? He is immune from suit. We cannot file a case against him in the Ombudsman. The ICI is under sa kanya. Hindi pwedeng mag-imbestiga sa kanya. Sa Senate, there is a separation of power. So, ang tangi lamang na binibigay ng ating saligang batas na mananagot ang Pangulo is through an impeachment. Kaya po, pinag-isipan namin na ito na matagal. We have come to the ultimate decision na dapat mananagot si Marcos dahil siya ay maraming ginagawang kabulastugan sa ating bansa. And it is through the impeachment. Pero nanghihinakit kami dahil mukhang hindi kami pinagbigyan ng karapatan na magiging impeacher, which is enshrined in our Constitution. So, that is why we are here today. Maraming po salamat.
Okay, so for the first part of the complaint of the impeachment article, I'd like to turn the mic to Attorney Manny Luna. Just a background, Attorney Manny Luna was one of those also who filed against Chairman Andy Bautista during that impeachment process along with Kong Jing Paras and Attorney Topacio. Attorney Manny?
Just a little correction. I was the counsel of the two patriotic Filipinos, former Congressman Jing Paras and Attorney Perdy Topacio in the successful impeachment of former Comelec Chairman Andres Bautista. Napa-impeach namin siya. That was very historic. Now, we proceed to the impeachment complaint. First and foremost, gusto natin sabihin na ang aming complaint is a people's complaint for impeachment against President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. Ito po ay complaint ng Pilipino na naghihikahos. Pilipino na dinaya at pinagkait ng magandang kinabukasan. Pilipino na ninakawan ng pera. So the first ground namin is itong fiscal irresponsibility of the President. I would like to state the first ground. The respondent, Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., culpably violated Article 7, Section 22 of the Constitution in recommending unprogrammed appropriations and not vetoing increase unprogrammed appropriations in the General Appropriations Act of 2023. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Alam nyo, yung unprogrammed appropriations cast a big shadow on the budget since 2023. Kasama yung 2024 and 2025. Dahil ito ay walang clear financing sources, sa palagay namin, unconstitutional ito. In fact, there's a pending petition in the Supreme Court that calls for the declaration of unconstitutionality ng ang program appropriations. Ang problema dito, noong 2023, 588 billion pesos of taxpayers' money ang hindi binito ng ating Pangulong Marcos Jr. At ito ay isa sa mga pondo na naging source ng kickbacks. In a recent exchanges sa Senate, kinumpirma no less than Senator Sherwin Gatchalian through his interpellation of Senator Chis Escudero, former SP ng Senate, na mula 2023 hanggang 2024 up to 2025, yan ang pinakamalaking anomalya sa flood control na nangyari. Can you imagine 588 billion hindi man lang binito ng ating Pangulo? This is unconstitutional. Bakit? Ang program appropriations ay walang source of financing. Sa Constitution, required po under Article 7, Section 22, na ma-identify yung sources of financing. Kaya, itong program, mula sa simula, nagiging grab-prone ito, naabuso eh. In fact, PCIJ has termed it as a source of misuse of funds. Even Rappler and other media organizations and business experts. Kaya ito ang unang ground namin against the President. He culpably violated the Constitution, Article 7, Section 22, for failing to veto the unprogrammed appropriations and for recommending unprogrammed appropriations in the 2023 National Expenditure Program. Thank you po.
Thank you so much, Attorney Manny. In addition to what Attorney Manny mentioned, dun sa unprogrammed allocation, yung fiscal responsibility, nandito po yung mismong kopya ng mga saro na nirelease ng Presidente. Ito yung unprogrammed allocation can only happen kung merong extra fund as explained by Attorney Manny Luna. Pero kung titingnan nyo, yung mga saro na nirelease ng ating Pangulo, February 2024, 807 million. February 27, 2024, 394 million. February 27, 2024, 462 million. Pebrero pa lang. Wala pang ang revenues. Ito na po, ang unprogrammed allocation, hindi na ho makakailan ng presidente kasi siya mismo ang kasama para sabihing may extra revenue at i-release niya ang pondo para dito. Ito po ang kopya ng buong GAA na kung saan pinagbatayan ang release ng unprogrammed allocation. And again, as pointed by Atty. Manny Luna, lahat galing, lahat napunta o karamihan, majority, flood control. Ang aking pong topic, based on the impeachment complaint, is the health, yung Philippine health insurance, yung ating pong PhilHealth. Again, nirelease po to ng ating gobyerno, 89 billion. Mabuti na lang, nahinto ng Korte Suprema at 60 billion lang ang napunta doon sa National Fund. Another fund is the PDIC. Yung PhilHealth to, kung titingnan nyo ang history ng PhilHealth, nauna po yan nung ginawa ni GMA, nagkaroon with cooperation din LGU para sa mahihirap. Nung umupo si Pinoy, in-expand niya ang mga benefits ng mga mahihirap. During the time of President Duterte, ginawa ninyang universal healthcare. Kaya po, ang pondo ng national government every year, on average, 80 billion, nagbibigay tayo sa PhilHealth. Pero yan ay kontribusyon ng bawat isa dito. Yung kontribusyon ng national government para tulungan ang senior citizens at ang mga mahihirap. Kinuha ang pondong ito na 89 billion na nahinto nga po. At again, saan napunta yung pondo? Napunta sa mga priority, sa mga high kickback, unprogrammed, high SOP, no, na mga proyekto, yung flood control program. Kasama ho ang PDIC. Ang PDIC ay dapat insurance ng bawat Pilipino sa bangko. Pag naglagay ka ng pera, nagsara ang bangko, alam mo, merong babalik na pera sa'yo. Kinuha din ang 107 billion at nilagay sa national government funds. Ito ay isang malaking paglabag, hindi lamang sa saligang batas, hindi lamang sa batas ng PhilHealth, sa universal healthcare, kundi pagyurak sa karapatan ng bawat Pilipino. Di ba ang sabi ni Dr. Martin Liachon, imbis na expand mo ang PhilHealth program na sa ibang bansa, Tony Liachon, ang sinabi niya, imbis na expand ninyo ang PhilHealth na katulad na ginagawa ng Singapore, Japan, Korea, 10% lang ang kontribusyon ng kahit sino sa mamamayan nila. Kahit na maluba ang sakit. Eh dito sa atin, almost 40, 50, 60%. Pag nagkasakit ka, wala halos nakukuha ang benepisyo. Yan ang tingin namin pinaglabag, ang ginawang paglabag ng ating Pangulo. He was involved in the transfer of funds at paggamit ng funds na to para sa mga flood control at high kickback projects. So with that, we go to point number 3. Yes, yung rider na ginawa ng Kongreso, yes.
Alam mo, ang unprogrammed funds kasi, hindi yan kasama sa budget. Because under the law, sa Constitution, yung National Expenditure Programs, pag-present ng Pangulo yan sa House of Representatives, ang definition yan, it is a program of expenditures and source of revenue. So, yun yung NEP at magiging GAA. Pero sinaksakan nila ng unprogrammed fund. Ang unprogrammed fund, it does not belong to the definition of the budget. Kaya, it is, at saka parang binigyan ng poder ang presidente na siya nang mamamahala sa pag-dispense or pag-disburse ng unprogrammed grant. It is considered as undue delegation of legislative power. So, yun po is unconstitutional. So, yun po ang isa sa mga issue dyan.
Okay, yung rider, binabanggit lang ni Atty. Manny Luna, yung sinabi nila, if there are excess funds, pwedeng gamitin. The President signed a GAA, the rider was there. Ito yung rider na ginamit na provision to transfer the funds of PDIC and the health fund. So una ho namin punto, yung fiscal violation as pointed out, yung diversion ng funds ng healthcare at saka ng PDIC. Yung pangatlo po dyan, and kasama po yan sa mga ebidensya namin, alam nyo marami tayong mga proyekto na dapat isagawa. Pero isa na lang ang ipo-point out ko, yung pong Metro Manila Subway. Ito sana ang isa sa mga proyekto na natapos ng Pangulong Bongbong Marcos by 2028. Pero dahil ang pondo, ang ginawa nila, baliktad naman to. Yung isa, kinukuha yung pondo, nilalagay sa unprogrammed. So for 3 years, more or less 1.5 trillion ang nilagay. Ito naman, unprogrammed allocation. Yung pangalawa naman, kinuha yung nasa pondo ng ODA, inilagay naman sa unprogrammed. So yung Metro Manila Subway na dapat may pondo taon-taon, binabawasan nila, nilalagay sa unprogrammed allocation. Because of this delay, combined 6 projects including the Panay-Guimaras Road, ang penalty na po natin, sa Metro Manila Subway pa lang, 100 billion na. Ang projected penalty natin of all the projects is about 200 billion. Dahil kulang ang pondo natin. And more importantly, delayed na ho ang project. So si BBM will not be able to sign or to inaugurate the subway, Metro Manila Subway, that we hope to have in 2028. So with that, we go now to the personal integrity and drug use. So may I call on Ms. Cathy Binag to expound on this.
Magandang hapon na. So, naway busog naman kayo kahit papano, no? Basically, ang tagal-tagal na hong nananawagan din ng lahat ng mamamayan. Ever since 2024, lumabas po ako ng late 2020, mid-2024. At ako yung nagsabi, may problema ho sa paggamit ng illegal substance ang ating presidente. Pero until now, kanila ho itong binabaliwala at hindi ho nila pinapansin. Ngayon ho, nakita ho natin sa lahat ng nangyari sa ating bansa, ang pagmamalaki niya sa flood control projects na 5,000 na sabi niya na nakita niya at ginagawa na nila. Then when he was signing the GAA, also, he was so proud that he read everything, 4,000 plus pages. Sinabi niya, binasa niya, and sinabi niya, I didn't see anything wrong with that. But ngayon po, nakikita natin na may problema. Kitang-kita, lantaran, from PhilHealth, sa lahat po, ang program funds, lahat na lang, di ba? Pati yung PDIC nga, yung ating ekonomiya ay magsasuffer with that. Kasi lahat po tayo, pag tayo na nag-aano sa bangko, yan po talaga yung ginagawa natin. No? So ngayon, with all that, makikita niyo po doon na may problema ho, na wala ho siya sa sarili. And I think talaga, talaga po, gumagamit siya ng pinagbabawal na droga kasi hindi rin naman ho siya nagpa-check up, no? So ako, nakita niyo naman, nung paglabas ko, sinabi ko yung problema na gumagamit siya ng droga. Nung rally po, nung nakaraan ng INC from November 16 to 18, nagsalita ho si Senator Amy Marcos at sinabi din niya ang problema ng ating presidente. Napakahirap ho nun bilang kapatid para sabihin mo yon publicly. And sasabihin ng iba, baliwala. Tapos sabihin nila, ginagawa namin to kasi Duterte align kami. Alam nyo, kahit sino ho ang kumontra sa Duterte align na yan, na ay kumontra sa ginagawa ng kamalian, sasabihin nila Duterte align. Sorry, bullshit yan. Tingnan nyo nangyayari sa gobyerno, sa ating bansa. Ang daming naghihirap. Ito pa rin. Yan, history of cocaine and marijuana, use of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. The reaction of the Marcos family. Anong reaction? Wala, di ba? Di ba? Wala eh. Si Senator Amy Marcos, napakahirap nung ginawa niya. So, saan tayo pupunta? Di ba? Parang wala siyang alam. Sinabi ni, isipin mo ha, si Congressman Toby Tiangco, sinasabi niya, sabi daw ng presidente, kay Saldico, at saka kay Martin Romualdez, ilang bahay pa sa Forbes, ilang caviar pa kakainin nyo, at ilang Ferrari pa ang gusto ninyo. Alam na alam niya yung nangyayari, pero wala siyang ginagawa. Until now, wala pa rin. Sabi nga ni Senator Rodante Marcoleta, puro sapsap ang kanyang pinapakulong. Yun. Ayun, same. Yun nga, yung narinig ko kay Aimee na nagdodroga siya. Sino yung mga kasamahan niya na sobra siyang gumuna sa drugs. Meron pa nga na minsan daw parang nag-blood transfusion niya kasi feeling nila malilinis kapag nag-blood transfusion sila and everything. You can see it. So, yun lang. Wala na akong ibang dapat sabihin dito. Yung kaganapan na nangyayari sa ating bansa, yung kahirapan na lumalaganap ay sapat na para makita natin ang kaguluhan. And etong hindi nila pagtanggap sa impeachment na to ay isang katunayan na kinokontrol nila ang naratibo na gusto nilang palabasin para sa mamamayan.
Dagan ko lang yung sinabi ni Cathy. The two of us were in the rally. She was one of the speakers. Siya nagsalita bago si Senator Aimee. I was at Quirino Grandstand. Nasa baba ako. We were shocked when Senator Aimee Marcos bared all dito sa alleged drug use, cocaine use, and marijuana ni Presidente Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. Detalyado po. She was close to tears when she was detailing it. Napakasakit ang ginawa niya because she is the eldest sister. Sinabi niya sa amin doon that ito para sa national interest ito. Bilang public official, hindi niya pwedeng itago ito. Pero masakit sa kanya kasi kapatid niya mismo ang ibinulgar niya dito sa alleged cocaine and marijuana use. At ito ay labag, a betrayal of public trust because he executed an oath of office upon assumption of office, di ba? Wherein, isa sa mga sinabi niyang commitments doon is to faithfully execute the laws. Ano yung batas na nilabag ni President Ferdinand Marcos in using drugs, allegedly? The Dangerous Drugs Act. Bawal ang paggamit ng marijuana at ng cocaine. These are dangerous drugs. And being the chief implementer of the law, he should not have been doing that or engaging in that. So you see, doon pa lang may betrayal of public trust. That is very demoralizing to our people because how could you fight drug addiction, drug importation, drug trading, drug sale, etc. kung ang mismong Pangulo ay naakusahan? We are not saying na totoo na yan. That's why may challenge sa kanya para mag-submit to a hair follicle test. Hanggang ngayon ayaw niya. Sinasabi niya hindi daw yan connected sa public trust. Yan nga, very much connected sa public trust eh. Public office is a public trust. When there is doubt on your capacity, you have to submit. Incapacity yun eh, yung paggamit. Kaya yan po ang aking reinforcement doon sa sinabi ni Cathy. Tama yun.
Attorney Jing, you want to add?
Just an addition. Alam mo, galing mismo sa kanyang kapatid, kay Aimee. These are personal knowledge of the use of cocaine. Ang galing mismo kay Aimee, sinasabi niya na makaka-apekto ito sa administration. Nakikita niyo ba si Marcos pag nagsasalita? Ang tingin namin, pagka hindi nagkargahan ng drugs, gumaganon siya, Maski doon sa Dubai, siya. Tama ba yan? Is that an honor and is it an honor to our country na mapapahiya ang isang Pangulo? Kaya nga, sa security naman, delikado din tayo sa security dahil kung hindi nag-isip ng mabuti ang ating Pangulo, baka mapinsala ang bansa natin. So, that's the reason why we raised the issue of his drug use as part of the articles of impeachment or charges.
Meron ko dadagdag.
Yes, Attorney Garcia.
Yung,
Attorney General Garcia.
Yung pong mental health ng ating Pangulo, pwedeng ma-consider na serious national security concern. Alam po ninyo, pag gumagamit kayo ng droga, lalo na kung matagalan na, ang epekto po ng cocaine is magsishrink yung brain mo eh. Kaya pagka nag-shrink na yan, nagsisimula ka na mag-hallucinate, iba na yung pag-iisip mo. Kaya yung mga drug addict, kung sumaksak yan 75 times, 85 times, kasi ang tingin niya dun sa sinasaksak niya, Diablo, buhay pa. samantalang patay na. Yung ganong klaseng hallucination. So what we're saying is, meron kasing issue sa kanya about prolonged continued drug use. So he owes it to the people. Pinapakiusap natin ito sa kanya noon pa. Patayin niyo po yung issue about you being drug addict ba tawag noon?
Drug addict, yeah.
Okay. Kill the issue. Simple lang naman po yun eh. Pa-hair follicle test ka. Alam niyo po ba kung bakit hair follicle test? Hindi ko to sinasabi noon kasi baka malaki magpakalbo eh. Yung kasing paggamit natin ng droga, naka-record sa buhok natin. So yung mga mahahabang buhok dyan, mas mahahaba ang record nyo kung gaano kayo gumamit ng droga. The history, your medical record on your drug use is recorded in your hair. So yun po yun, kaya sabi natin, hair follicle test. Kasi nandyan yung history nung kung gaano katagal ka nang gumagamit. So
Thank you.
kaya po hair follicle yung hinihingi natin. So,
Thank you,
sige po.
Thank you, General Garcia. Anyway, si General Garcia will be discussing another topic extensively after this. But for now, yung fourth point po natin is on monetary graft and kickbacks. And may I call on Vice Mayor Attorney Harold Respicio to discuss this.
Yeah, buddy! Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat and thank you so much for coming dito sa aming press con. Ako po si Attorney Harold Respicio, elected Vice Mayor ng Reyna Mercedes Isabela. Ako po ay nagre-representa ng lahat ng Pilipino, lahat ng probinsyano, lahat ng Ilocano, lahat ng Tagaluzon, at lahat ng mga kumokontrang elective official laban sa administrasyon na ito. Dahil hindi totoo ang sinasabi nila na may solid north. Hindi totoo na solid ang mga probinsyano at Ilocano sa kanya. Kasama namin si Chavito. Hindi totoo. Nakakampi nila lahat ng mga nakaupong opisyal sa ating gobyerno dahil nandito ako, pinapakita ko yan. Kaya ako lumapit dito dahil walang kwenta yung final na unang impeachment complaint. Kakaunti. Diskarte nila yun para wala nang maayos na umandar na impeachment complaint. Kaya nung nakita ko na yung mga may track record na successful impeachment, mga successful endorser, number one na political lawyer sa ating bansa at napakakapal na papeles at napakakapal na ebidensya, sali ako dyan. Dahil gusto nating matanggal ang ulo ng korupsyon sa ating bansa. At hindi ninyo pwedeng sabihin na puro align sa Duterte ang grupo namin. Dahil ako ay lone wolf lamang, wala akong kakampi. Lahat kinakalaban ko, basta masama, kakalabanin kita. Kaya nandito ako para patunayan na merong totoong nangyaring graft and corruption. Ito po ang discussion namin sa aming complaint. Naniniwala ba tayo, meron pa bang doubt na merong malawak ang nangyari na nakawan dito sa ating bansa? Inamin na nila, hindi ba? At inamin na rin nila at alam na rin natin na ang grupo nila ang nagnakaw. Si Saldi, si Romualdez, at si BBM. Ang problema na lang ngayon ay nagtuturuan sila. Ngayon, kung nasa korte tayo ngayon, ang question na lang ay yung credibility. Ang credibility ba ni Saldi versus yung credibility ni BBM? Ngayon, ano ang credibility ni Saldi? Kwento niya na lahat yung modus. Yung unprogrammed appropriations, yun ang paraan. Ang pagnanakaw sa budget ng PhilHealth. Nagkasakit si Congressman Jing Paras. Hindi na siya makakakuha ng benefits sa PhilHealth. Yung aking bangko, kapag na-bankrupt, wala na akong makukuhang pera dahil kinuha na nila yung pera sa PDIC. Kwento na ni Saldi lahat ng kanilang paraan specific. Nagde-deliver ng mali-maleta sa Malacanang, sa Ford's Park, 2 billion. Ayun no, ang daming pera, bilyong-bilyong salapi ang dinideliver amongst them. Yun yung isang side ng credibility. Ngayon, tignan natin yung isang side ng credibility. Anong sagot? AI. What? AI daw. Kung ikaw ang husgado, sino ang paniniwalaan mo? Yung kasama sa conspiracy na tinuturo nila ang bawat isa o yung nagpapalusot na mastermind? Alam na yan. Kapag ikaw ang husgado, convicted yan. Kaya ang tanong lamang, ang simpleng question lamang, on the ground of graft and corruption, dito sa aming impeachment complaint, maniniwala ka ba kay Saldi? Kapag naniniwala ka kay Saldi at hindi ka naniniwala sa palusot ni BBM, impeach dapat si BBM dahil ground for impeachment ang graft and corruption.
Dagdag lang ako, no? Hindi lang graft and corruption. Yung pagtanggap ng 2 billion per month SOP or 57 billion na kickbacks, allegedly, na diniliver ni Saldico sa kanya, kay President Marcos Jr., the respondent in our impeachment complaint, yan po ay violation ng Constitution, culpable violation. I'm referring to Article 7, Section 13. Bawal ang conflict of interest. Bawal kumuha ng kickbacks. Bawal tumanggap ng regalo sa mga transaksyon sa gobyerno. Saan ba galing itong 57 billion or 2 billion per month? Sa mga kontraktor po ito na may transaction sa gobyerno. Yan ang culpable violation of the Constitution of the President aside from Republic Act 3019, anti-graft law. Dalawa po ang kanyang violation dito sa kickback scheme or SOP na sinabi ni Saldi ko. Yung bribery ay kasama na sa graft and corruption, kasama na rin siya dito sa Article 7, Section 13 of the Constitution.
Just a short, alam mo, si Saldi, personal friend ko, at sinabi niya talaga yung mga sinasabi niya tungkol kay Marcos. No? In fact, he told me na baka tanggalin na siya sa Appropriations Committee dahil hindi siya nakadeliver sa amount na napakalaki na hinihingi nila Marcos Jr. at pamilya niya. So, in other words, mga kababayan, Saldi ko, sinasabi nila, hindi, hearsay lang yan kasi wala naman siyang under oath doon sa kanyang, Hindi po totoo yan, may jurisprudence na po tayo na yung galing sa Facebook is admissible in evidence. Pangalawa, kasama siya sa isang conspiracy. The conspiracy to commit crimes of plunder. So, kapapaniwala ang sinasabi ni Saldico. So, yun po, kaya dito sa complaint namin, in-emphasize namin yung mga ebidensya against Marcos sa mga diniliver na pera. Pero hanggang ngayon, ang Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, kaya nga po nag-file kami ng impeachment dahil ang tingin namin si Lacson masyadong pabor sa kanila. Hindi niya pinatawag si Bersamin, hindi niya pinatawag si Amina. Tingnan mo si Amina, katuwang pa ni Mike, defensor sa kasal. Dapat yun, isasalang yun. Kasi sinasabi ni Saldico, nung nagpa-insert si Marcos ng 100 billion pesos, tumawag sa kanya si Amina, pangandaman. Tapos kinlear niya na, o kung gusto mo i-clear, si Adrian Bersamin. Pero hindi ito tinawag ni Lacson. So, kaya our only recourse is this impeachment para isigaw namin sa taong bayan na ito po yung katotohanan. Dito, formal na namin hinain dito sa Kongreso.
I'd like to formally announce also, kasi dito po, nandito na sa articles namin, pero Saldico mentioned 25 billion pesos na siya ang nagdala. Pagkatapos nagkaroon ng investigation kailan lang sa Blue Ribbon Committee, in-establish ang tama rin na drop-off point. Ang sabi ni Saldico, nag-deliver ako ng 800 million kay Jojo Cadiz at one time at 200 million kay Yusek Jojo Cadiz sa Tamarin para dalhin kay Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Kagabi nagpagbigay ng mensahe si Congressman Saldico. Ang sabi ni Congressman Saldico, kung papayagan ako doon sa i-file ninyong impeachment to become a state witness, kahit na sa Zoom, kasi ginagawa naman po natin yan under suspended rules, ay tatayo siya na witness dito sa grupo na nag-file ng impeachment case. So, salamat po. Ngayon, dadalhin ko naman yung topic on the economic sabotage So yung graft and corruption, tapos na po tayo. Economic sabotage, doon po sa sugar and energy to be discussed by Congressman Jing Paras.
Before I go to that, mayroon po muna akong may nakaligtaan. Yung sinasabi nila, si Vice President gumasto, nilustay yung pera na 125 million galing sa pondo na for confidential funds. Pero magkakaroon kaya nagpagastos si Vice President kung hindi binigay ni Marcos yung pera galing sa contingent fund? So, isa sa mga tinatakel namin na culpable violation of the Constitution is the violation of Marcos for releasing from his contingent fund 125 million plus 70 million for other expenses, pero yung 125 for confidential fund. Sinasabi ng mga experts, including former Senate President Drilon, that is unconstitutional. You can refer to the interview of Drilon and ito. And sino itong sa ABS? No, the other one. Karen Davila. Sinasabi ni Drilon, what Marcos did was unconstitutional kasi naglipat siya ng item, ng pera from the contingent to confidential fund. Wala namang item in the general appropriation. Bawal po lang mag-obent according to the Constitution. It's a violation of law to transfer fund when there is no item. You cannot augment unless savings. Ang contingent fund is not savings. Only savings can be used by the President. So, Marcos has violated. Bago nyo sampahan si Sara, si Marcos muna ang sinampahan namin. Kasi siya ang source ng pera na ginastos ni Sara Duterte. Second, graft and corruption. Matindi itong graft and corruption ni Marcos. Ito mismo. It was heard in Congress, si Undersecretary Panganiban was caught saying that it was Marcos who ordered the importation of 440,000 tons of sugar without a sugar order. Sabi niya, let's do it ourselves. Inamin po ito ni Panganiban. Nung tinanong siya ni Risa, dinidikdik siya ni Risa Ontiveros, ni Pimentel, at ni Tolentino. Nandito po ang conversation nila. Ito po, ang exchanges nila. Sabi ni Panganiban, ang sabi ni Presidente, let's do it ourselves. Anong ibig sabihin ng let's do it ourselves? Sila. Walang sinusunod na regulasyon. Ang regulasyon kasi, bago ka pa kapag-import, you have a sugar order. Ito, there was no bidding. Hindi, ang matindi nito, pumili lang siya ng 3 sa 30 o 40. Pinili niya yung 3, All Asian Counter Trade, si Escaler, kaibigan niya yan, yung Sokdem Philippines na kinwestiyon ni Risa na walang pera, at itong Edison Lee, marketing. Bakit pipiliin mo lang yung 3 when there are more qualified? Nakipag-meeting pa si Marcos, mayroon tayong picture na nag-meeting si Marcos with these only 3 traders in Malacanang. So, this is graft and corruption, mga kababayan, giving undue advantage, unwarranted benefits to these 3 traders over others who are more qualified. Pinili niya without the benefit of the bidding, at the same time, walang sugar order. Tapos, Pag dumating na yung kargamento, saka na lang nila nilalakad yung sugar order after the fact. So he has already committed the crime of graft and corruption. And also betrayal of public trust because he has reneged on his duty under his oath of office that he will execute the laws faithfully. Hindi niya in-execute kasi siya mismo ang gumawa ng violation of law. Ito naman, to favor his campaign crony, nung binili ni Rason yung Shell, una-muna binenta yung, alam niyo itong Malampaya, ang laking pera na kinikita ng gobyerno. Maski 5% lang ang share natin. Kasi 45% is owned by Chevron, 45% is owned by Shell. I should know this because naging chairman ako dyan sa kumpanya niyan, yung PNOCEC. So, maki-expire yung service contract 38 ng 2024. Dapat sana, para kumita ang gobyerno, nirebid yun. Ihanap ng bagong bidder para papasok ang pera. Ang ginawa nila, binigay kay Rason yung share. Binigay kay Odena yung Chevron. Pero ngayon, si Rason na lahat ang may-ari. Pero ang masama at masaklap, walang bidding, wala lahat, in-extend for another 15 years, mga kababayan, yung kontrata unilaterally by Marcos. Can you imagine? So, that is giving unwarranted benefits to Rason, yung kanyang prime company. So, this is graft and corruption in the real sense. Kasi wala namang sinasabi ng karamihan that could have benefited the people kung ang gobyerno na mismo ang nag-take over. Kasi pag expire ng 2024, mayroon tayong right of first refusal over Malampaya. Pero we squandered that power of the government at binigay natin sa crony. And that is also cronyism. Lastly, ito po, narinig naman siguro ninyo sa mga media, masyadong hot na hot si Toby Chanco. Sinasabi niya, nag-meeting kami ni Marcos, ni Romualdez, ako. I was surprised, bakit nakasama ako? Dapat silang dalawa labat. Sinabi daw ni Marcos, Martin, sobra-sobra na ba yung maraming bahay sa Forbes? Sobra-sobra na ba yung maraming Ferrari at mga airplanes? Sobra na ba ang kain mo ng kabyar? Ito sabi niya, kayo ni Salde ko, sobra na kayo, kinukuha niyo lahat ng pondo. Alam mo, Martin, wala akong natatanggap dyan. Chanco added. Okay? So, presuming na wala siyang natatanggap, pero hindi tayo naniniwala, November 2024 ba niya sinasabi ito? Alam niya na nangurakot si Martin, nangungurakot si Saldi. Wala siyang sinasabi. Wala siyang ginawa. Ikaw, Presidente, you have the duty to report to the NBI, to the Department of Justice, iimbestiga at ipatanggal niya ito. Bakit naghintay pa siya doon sa zona niya? At sa mahiya kayo. Dapat hindi na siya nagsabing mahiya kasi pinadekwat na sana niya si Martin. Pinadekwat na sana niya si Martin at saka si Saldi. So, that is obstruction of justice. He did not report a crime committed when he knew all along that Martin and Saldi were committing a crime. And this is also a betrayal of public trust. He reneged on his duty under the Constitution, yung kanyang oath of office, that he should execute the laws. Here, he hide the law. Tapos, recently, nagpa-interview siya. Tinanong siya, Sir, ano na bang sitwasyon kay Martin Romualdez? No, I didn't see any basis against Martin Romualdez. Nagsisinungaling na naman siya. Wala daw finding sa ICI. Alam na nga niya. Pinagalitan na nga niya dahil nagnakaw. Tapos ngayon sasabihin mo, kasinungalingan. So, that's betrayal of public trust, mga kababayan.
Okay, one of the highlights of the impeachment complaint is also the incident with former President Rodrigo Duterte. And to discuss that is our former general and lawyer, Attorney Garcia, Virgilio Garcia.
Salamat po. Tapusin ko lang yung sinasabi ko kanina tungkol sa grave national security concern, yung mental health ng Pangulo. Kasi kailangan tayo makasiguro na matino ang pag-iisip ng ating Pangulo at siya ay gagawa ng tamang desisyon sa panahon ng pangangailangan. That he is going to make the right decision, that he will stay there and decide that our all, sa kabutihan nating lahat. Okay. Yung pangyayari na-assign sa akin na i-discuss is yung nangyari sa airport, no? Una muna, paalam natin sa mga kababayan nating mga OFW, yung pagka kayo ay nangangailangan ng tulong sa ating gobyerno habang kayo ay nasa ibang bansa, yan po ay hindi kusang loob, hindi kumbaga parang papogi nila na kayo ay tinutulungan nila at tatanawin ninyo ang utang na loob. Yan po ay obligasyon ng ating gobyerno na kayo ay tulungan. At dito po sa pagkakataong ito, the reverse happened. Ano po, yung nasa labas, tutulungan ka. Napapansin niyo yung mga nakukulong, yung mga bago pugutan ng ulo. We make representations with the government because our government must be able to protect our citizens in other countries para yung sila naman ay maproteksyonan natin sa kapangyarihan ng gobyerno kung saan silang bansa nandoon. Okay, so that is the prime duty of government is to serve and protect the people. We will give flesh to this constitutional provision doon sa nangyari noong March 11, 2025. Sa airport, no? So, it doesn't matter, hindi personality driven, kundi ito ay obligasyon ng ating gobyerno na kailangang gampanan. Kaya sinasabi namin, sinasakdal namin ang Pangulo ng Pilipinas, si Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., ng paglabag sa saligang batas, ng pagbigo sa tiwala ng taong bayan, at ang paglabag sa batas. Ayan. Nung March 11, ba? Sigurado. March 11, 2025. Sa airport, inaresto si Pangulong Duterte. Hindi siya napagbigyan na matulungan ng kanyang abogado. He was denied legal representation. Yung isang abogado nga niya, hinangkap pa, inalis doon. No? So, it's all in the complaint, yung narration of facts. No? But we all witness this, so I don't have to parang sabihin. Gusto ko lang klaruhin is ang sinasabi nila, ang basihan nila sa pag-aresto is yung sinasabi nilang ICC warrant of arrest. Okay. Under the law, a foreign judgment is a piece of paper, nothing more than just a piece of paper. Pwede ba sabihin panday ko? It's just a mere scrap of paper. It's nothing, it's worthless unless this is recognized by our local court. Kaya ang sinasabi, dapat, kung totoong merong warrant of arrest, dapat dinaan muna sa korte. Regional trial court po ang mayroong jurisdiction to hear this kind of complaints. Dapat dinala siya sa korte at doon sa pinaharap para patunayan, unang-una, na yung ICC warrant, assuming that it was issued by a competent court. Competent, hindi lang korte, it has to be issued by a competent court, a court that has jurisdiction to issue the warrant. Alright? Ngayon yung ating korte, pagkatapos na dinig ganyan, siya yung mag-i-issue ng warrant of arrest. Yung warrant of arrest ng korte natin, ang gagamitin ng mga aaresto para siya ay arestuhin dahil yon ang may bisa. Hindi yung warrant of arrest ng kahit sino. Alright? We violated all this. Lahat ng batas. So we have an enumeration of the laws violated by them. Unang-una, yung Republic Act 7438. Yan yung karapatan ng kung sino mang arestado, detinado o undergoing custodial at investigation at all times, yun ang sabi ng batas, you must be assisted by counsel. Ito yung other high crimes. No? So first of all, na-violate niya yun. He was treated inhumanely. Nandirito po lahat. Meron akong kopya, bigyan ko kayo mamaya. Violated yung alam po ninyo meron yung ating Bill of Rights, yung number 1, hindi yung number 1 just because yun yung una nilang naisip, but because that is the fundamental, most basic right of every Filipino is yung no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. And nor shall anybody be denied the equal protection of law. Kaya po yan number 1, yan yung talagang number 1. Hindi yan yung nag-aksidente lamang na nailagay na number 1. This was violated, yung kanyang liberty. Hindi siya nabigyan ng due process. No? Ngayon, bakit sinasabi natin si Presidente ang may kasalanan ng lahat ng ito kahit wala siya doon sa airport? Because he is the head of the Executive Department. And under Article 7, Section 1, he is the head of the Executive Department and he is the one in charge of making sure that all laws are executed properly. All right? So, ngayon yung ang masaklap dito, ang masaklap dito hindi yung Pilipinong nasa labas na hindi mo tinulungan. Ang masaklap dito, yung Pilipinong nasa Pilipinas, pinadala mo sa ibang bansa kahit wala kang obligasyong ipadala yung taong yun sa ibang bansa at pagkatapos iniwanan mo doon without any aid or assistance from the Philippine government. That makes matters worse. This, to us, is culpable violation of the Constitution. This, to us, is betrayal of public trust. And the crimes that they committed are all high crimes. Punishable by death yung kidnapping, actually kidnapping lang tinatawag para maunawaan ng lahat, no. Pero actually the crime committed is serious illegal detention, which is punishable by reclusion perpetua to death, and that makes it a very high crime, similar to treason, bribery, plunder. Yan. So malupit po yung mga crimes committed. Ito pa para kay General Torre. General Torre, you violated Republic Act 7438. Ang penalty po doon, mababa lang ang multa, 6,000 pesos lang. Pero may imprisonment, not less than 8 years, not more than 10 years. Pero ang pinakamaganda po, merong naka-attach na penalty na perpetual absolute disqualification from holding public office. In other words, once you are convicted, wala ka na pong retirement pay. Salamat po.
Thank you, General Garcia. Kong Jing, would you like to add? Si Atty. Manny muna.
Ito. Ang matindi doon is lahat itong gumagalaw, John B. Cremulya, Anyo, Gibo, binisto lahat sila ni John B. Cremulya, not the planned it. So it's a conspiracy to put Duterte under rendition. And the fact is, they have lied. They have lied to the public. Sinasabi ni Marcos, meron na tayong Interpol. Pero wala naman pala red notice, wala naman palang red notice. Kasi daw the red notice, we are now obligated to the Interpol. Pero he disregarded what he has been saying, that the ICC has no jurisdiction. The ICC has no sovereignty over our country. The ICC has no jurisdiction. So he contradicted that, which he has been pronouncing for so long, by just a mere, we cannot refuse the Interpol. We are so tapos hindi naman pala red notice kundi diffusion lang. Wala nga eh. It's not even It's not even approved by the head of the Interpol, yung ginawa nila. So, all this, mananagot si Marcos Jr. dito sa lahat ng mga kabulastugan na ginagawa niya.
Okay. Dagdagan ko lang. Walang jurisdiction yung ICC. You know why? Because March 17, 2018, March 17, 2018, nag-withdraw na tayo ng ating membership sa ICC. So yung residual 1 year nila is March 16, 2019. So up to that time, wala nang jurisdiction ang ICC sa atin. We have evidence to prove that the first time the ICC investigators came to the Philippines was in 2022. We have
23.
evidence...
22? 22, 23.
23 yata. 23. And we have evidence kung sino ang nagbigay ng suporta. Should we say it here? Anyway, it's in the complaint, supported by no less than the Speaker, former Speaker Martin Romualdez, Saldico. Andiyan naman si Saldi. Pwede niyang aminin o hindi. Sa kanya yon. And Sunny Trillanes.
Thank you, General Garcia. Attorney Manny, would you like to add?
Under ground number 6 of our impeachment complaint of the people of the Philippines, would like to state the respondent Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. culpably violated Section 2, Section 1, and Section 6, Article 3, the Bill of Rights, respectively, of the Constitution, in causing the arrest, detention, and rendition of former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte to the International Criminal Court in The Hague, Netherlands. These are fundamental rights guaranteed to every citizen of the Philippines, regardless of positions. And these were all violated. And if you violate the fundamental rights of Filipinos, you commit the crimes under the revised penal code. These are crimes against the fundamental rights under the revised penal code. The President is the chief implementer of the revised penal code. And yet he masterminded the extrajudicial rendition of former President Duterte. Kaya hindi basta-basta yung sinasabi niya na wala siyang kinalaman. Kasi siya ang nag-implement ng batas. Hindi ito about politics. He disregarded the right of a Filipino and put in danger and bargain away our national sovereignty. Nasa aming complaint din yan. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So, to summarize, you would like to say, Harold? To summarize all the points, yung gist ng we mentioned, yung case na yung articles that we will file, our renowned lawyer, Attorney Ferdy Topacio, and also to give the closing points on the articles of impeachment. Attorney Ferdy.
Magandang tanghali po mga magulang at mga kapatid. Hindi ko na po uulitin yung mga points. I think my fellow complainants have made everything so clear. Ang nais ko lamang pong sabihin, very briefly, the common thread that runs through all of these accusations is the policy of the present administration of bend the law. Why am I saying this? Some of this may not be included in the complaint, but in law, sa batas po, previous acts constitute pattern. Ayan, that will prove the allegations being made. Ano yung policy nitong administrasyon na to na bend the law, na napapunta kaya merong appropriated allocations na sinabi na ng Korte Suprema in the 2013 case of Belgica na unconstitutional. Ito po, tingnan nyo kung paano binibend the law. Kaya dapat pong matigil na to by removing the president. Nakasasabi lang po nitong mga kasama ko, yung kay Presidente Duterte. Ito pa, Kung napansin nyo, even before that, for the first time in legislative history, mayroong committee hearing sa House wherein the council was physically prevented from advising his client. Ako yun, dun sa Quadcom. Again, for the first time in our country's history, yung rules regarding the appointments and consideration of the JBC, inignore. Anong ginawa? Pagka may kaso, di ba, hindi pwedeng consider ng JBC. Anong ginawa? Just for the case of Remulla, Boying Remulla, tinanggal yung rule na automatically docketed just to say na walang kasong docketed against Ombudsman Remulla para ma-appoint siya. Break the law na yun. Hindi na bend the law yun. Ano pa? Yung abuse ng administrasyon ng hearsay. Nililin lang po ang taong bayan. Ang hearsay po, sabi sa akin ni Jing, babaero daw, si General Garcia. Yun ang hearsay. Binotektahan ko na nga si Jing, pumalag pa kayo, pambira naman kayo. Pero pag nakita ko mismo na ng bababae si Jing, ayan, binalik ko na kay Jing, hindi po hearsay yun. Kaya yung sinasabi ng hearsay si Saldico, hindi po. That is eyewitness testimony. Matibay po yun. Yung sinasabi nilang si Leviste ay dapat i-authenticate yung Cabral files, mali po yun. Mali yung ginagawa ni Ping Lacson. By the mere fact that a person was placed under oath in the BRC hearing at sinabi niyang nakuha niya yung kay Cabral, siya mismo. That is proper authentication under the law. Pero sasabihin nila hindi. By the mere fact that a member of the family ay sinabing out of her own personal knowledge na gumagamit ng droga ang Pangulo, hindi po hearsay yun. Wala pong hearsay doon. Si Gutesa, the mere fact na sinabi niyang nag-deliver siya ng pera kay Martin Romualdez, hindi po hearsay yun. Eyewitness account po yun. Bendalo na naman. Yung bribery ng magkapatid na Remulla, inalokay 1 bilyon, may inaresto mo yun. Attempted bribery yun. That is a crime. Anong ginawa nila? Pumunta sila sa media, sinabi nila, oy, may nag-attempt na mag-bribe sa amin, ayaw naman sabihin kung sino. They were sworn to uphold the laws and faithfully execute the same. Bakit hindi nila sinunod yung batas? Yung restitution, na sinasabi nilang dapat mag-restitution. Ito, very tricky to. I hope you will give me 5 minutes, Congressman. Alam nyo kung bakit tumututulo po kami sa restitution? Ikikwento ko po sa inyo. Yun pong restitution, unang-una, wala po yun sa witness protection law. Pangalawa, yung restitution po, very tricky yun kung igagawin mo yung kondisyon for inclusion in witness protection. Bakit? Ako, nagnakaw ako ng 1 bilyon. Sabihin ko sa DOJ, boss, babalik ako ng 400 million. Iyo yung 200. May 400 million pa ako. Witness protection, state witness, wala na akong criminal liability. Absuelto na ako. Ngayon, sinasabi ni Fadulion, pwede daw mag-agree ang DOJ sa restitution kung anong amount? Hindi po pwede. Why? Allowing a person who stole from government to keep part of the loot is a contract that is contrary to public policy and therefore null and void. Hindi po ako nagsabi niyan. Yan ay nasa civil code. Look it up. Kaya po, in order to recover ill-gotten wealth, yung sinasabi ni Boying na, pagtatawa na naman tayo niyan. Hindi natin ma-recover. Binigyan agad natin ng immunity. Hindi po. Mali po si Boying dyan. Meron pong provision for civil forfeiture of ill-gotten wealth. Paano po? Ang Office of the Solicitor General ang magpa-file sa korte. Bakit po sa korte? Sapagkat hindi mo basta pwedeng sabihin, hindi pwedeng sabihin ng DOJ, ang ninakaw mo ay 500 million, 600 million. Kukunin namin. That is deprivation of property without due process of law. Who determines kung magkano ninakaw? Ang korte. Ngayon sasabihin nila, mahirap sa korte. Hindi po mahirap. Unang-una, aside from the fact that that is the process provided for by law, kapag civil forfeiture po, there are two presumptions that are in favor of government. Number one, the presumption that all assets over and above the legitimate income of a public official is presumed ill-gotten. Siya ang magpatunay na hindi ill-gotten. Number two, since it is a civil suit, it is civil in nature. Preponderance of evidence lamang ang kailangan. Hindi proof beyond reasonable doubt. Kahit maabsuelto yung tao, pwede pa rin kunin because it proceeds independently of any criminal action for graft, plunder, malversation, etc. against the erring official. Kaya po sa korte, ang mangyayari pag sinali mo yung restitution sa pasok sa witness protection, that is fraught with the danger of graft and corruption. Magkakatawaran yan. Kaya hindi po nilagay yung provision na yan sa witness protection. Kita nyo na. Pagkatapos, dinedefensa nila. Bakit? Gusto nilang, they want a piece of the action. O, di ba? Kitang-kita nyo eh. Kung bakit, binibendalo na naman yan. O, doon sa impeachment, bendalo na naman, kahapon lang. O, can you imagine? Sinabi na sa Section 3, Rule 2 ng Rules on Impeachment, ang office of the SecGen. The SecGen is not the office of the SecGen. The SecGen does not exercise all the powers. The SecGen does not bring the powers of the office of the SecGen with him or her when they go abroad. At fundamental po with any office, any office in government, kapag umaalis yung hepe, may OIC. Bakit ayaw tanggapin ni Attorney Momoy? Salonga. Ba? Hindi, Moy, di ba? Haifa? Okay, whatever. Hindi ko nakakuha yung, kasi namumutla kahapon kaya medyo hindi ko na ako nanginginig Okay, anyway. Tayo ba pa nag-file tayo sa hukuman ng kaso, kailangan nandun yung huwes? Kapag nag-file ba tayo ng appeal sa Office of the President, dapat nandun yung Pangulo sa Malacanang? Bakit ito? Kapag nag-file ka, kailangan nandoon yung Secretary General. Wow naman, di ba? Ganon siya makapangyarihan. So, ito po ang pattern na gusto naming i-break. You cannot ignore the law. You cannot bend the law. You cannot keep violating the Constitution and the laws without facing the consequences. Because as President, lahat po yan, ikaw ang may command responsibility. Sabi nga ni Roosevelt, di ba? Si President Roosevelt, meron siyang nakalagay doon sa kanyang desk, the buck stops here. Kahit ano mangyari, ako yan. Kung may credit, siya yon. Kung may kasalanan, siya rin yun because he's the head of the executive department. And when he made an oath nung siya ay nahalal, sinabi niya, he made a solemn oath that it will be his duty to protect the Constitution and faithfully execute all laws. Kaya po meron ito na petition ito because hindi niya ina-execute ang law, ina-execute niya ang lahat ng tao na sumusunod sa batas. He's not only bending the law, he is breaking the law. Salamat po.
Thank you so much, Attorney Topacio. We now open the floor to questions from our friends in the media. Sino may katanungan? Yes, please. Ay.
Since hindi ko na i-file yesterday yung impeachment complaint.
Thank you, Consi Irani.
Eden Santos po from Net25. Since hindi po natanggap kahapon yung inyong file na impeachment, ano po yung inyong next move? Are you going to file it on early Monday morning since may 10 days naman po ang speaker to refer it sa plenary at hindi pa naman na-initiate yung first and second impeachment complaint? If not, kayo po ba ay may iba pang legal moves? Aakyat po ba ninyo ito sa Korte Suprema? And yung binabanggit niyo po kanina, Saldico is willing to testify or maging testigo dito sa inyong impeachment complaint?
Yes, una sa lahat, after this press conference, uupo kami na mag-uusap kung ano pa yung hakbangin na gagawin namin. Of course, may mga debates kami on how to address this. But nagkakaisa kami, and this is a warning to the Office of the Secretary General, that we will file against a case against the office. In particular, i-discuss namin. As to the legal moves, again, pag-uusapan namin after itong ating press conference. Number two, in the case of Congressman Saldico, yes, he is willing to be a witness. Kung hindi man siya napayagan sa Blue Ribbon Committee na mag-Zoom, and we have done that, alam niyo ho yan, under suspended rules, pinapayagan natin yan, kung magagawa ito sa impeachment at naniniwala silang dapat malaman ang katotohanan. At syempre, bigyan din ng pagkakataon ng Presidente na sumagot dito sa mga charges na nandito. Saldico is willing to testify on our behalf doon sa graft and corruption issue at sa lahat na nalalaman niyang bigayan ng pera maging yung pag-aayos ng budget in the program allocation.
Regarding the Zoom, if you want a recent precedent na nag-Zoom testimony, I know this because I was there as counsel for Cassandra Leong. Noon pong may dalawang witnesses, si Riz Ontivero sa Senado. They were allowed to testify via Zoom. Yung isa nasa Thailand, yung isa nasa China. So, wag nilang sabihin hindi pwede kasi ginagawa nila pagka gusto nila.
Meron po kaming pakiusap. Bantayan po natin itong filing na ito dahil pansinin ninyo, yung kauna-unahang verified impeachment complaint na na-file, walang attachment. Ilang pages ba yan? 15 o 4? 4 pages. 4 pages, talagang final lang. Ang intention noon is para makapag-bar ng 1 year. No? Nauna yon. Yung second verified impeachment complaint, may mga attachments. That's good. Pero nakita nila kung gaano karami yung aming attachments, pati yung akala ko mani yung sinatal. Ang daming USB. So, we have all the documents, we have evidence, and I am sure, almost sure, gagawa sila ng paraan to defeat our complaint. Ang gagawin nila sa Monday is bibilisan nila kasi nasa office na ng speaker yung first nasa unahan na. No, but I'm saying this para ma-preempt. No, really. Nasa office na nung speaker. See? So, nauna na sila. Anong gagawin nila? Ika-calendar na nila doon sa order of business. So, nauna na sa calendar. Yung sa amin, yahabol pa lamang. Pag yun na-i-refer sa Committee on Justice, there you are. It is initiated. Alright? Ano ba ibig sabihin ng initiated? Kasi one impeachment complaint initiated lamang. Initiation means the act of filing followed by an action. And the action is, the action referred to here is the referral to the Committee on Justice. Alright? In fairness, kung gusto nila talagang bigyan ng pagkakataon ng Pangulo na managot, na liwanagin sa taong bayan na siya ay walang kasalanan, dapat bigyan nila ng pagkakataon ang aming impeachment complaint. It should not be shut down.
Did you convince him to testify? Sir, yung pong kay Zaldico, was he voluntarily offered being the state witness o kayo po ay nagkumbinsi sa kanya mag-state witness?
Nung malaman ni Saldico na mag-file ng impeachment complaint at lalo't malaman niya na pinlock, he is willing to testify to enhance the impeachment complaint we have filed. Ang sabi niya, nung nga sa Senate, gusto na niya sa Blue Ribbon Committee. Hindi siya pinayagan. Inaasahan niya at inaasahan namin na dito sa impeachment complaint ay papayagan siya mag-testify.
I just want to add, sinasabi ni Ferdy, ang masahol nito yung si Bernardo. Kasi hindi lang 20 billion ang kinita niya, kilala ko yung asshole na yan Hindi lang 20 billion, pero mukhang nagkasundo na sila ng DOJ na 1 billion lang babalik. Kaya nga tama yung sinasabi that it should be the court who shall decide magkano talaga ang ibabalik. Kasi magdududa tayo na nagkaayusan na ang DOJ at ang testigo. Okay?
Mike,
Yeah, go ahead.
can
Tina.
you give us details on your communications with Zaldico? Did he call you? Did you call him? What was the purpose of the call? Etc.
At a proper time, I will divulge. Pero ang primary sa akin is that he is willing to testify before the committee when asked. Kasi very critical yung kanya eh. As pointed out by Attorney Topacio and all the lawyers here, personal knowledge yung kanya. Nag-deliver siya nung sa 25 billion, nag-deliver siya sa Tamarind nung 800 and 200 million. Hindi, iba pa yun. Iba pa yung kay Yusek Bernardo at yung mga deliveries ng pera. So, at the proper time, Tina, magsasalita ako dyan, I will divulge it. Of course, alam kong critical na malaman sino ba lumapit, sino ba nagsalita, at ano yung kanyang interest to present. But what is important here, I think more importantly, is that Zaldico is very critical. Sabi nga ni Harold, isang sindikato to na may nagsalita na at nagtuturo. Importanteng malaman natin ang katotohanan dito. Kung walang alam si Presidente, sinasabi niya hindi siya tumatanggap, tingnan natin, ipaliwanag niya. Pero Zaldico is very clear about it and very direct on the bribery at yung pagbibigay niya ng delivery ng pera kay Pangulong Bongbong Marcos.
Clarification lang. Saan siya magte-testify? Blue Ribbon? Or sa impeachment sa House Committee on Justice?
Sa impeachment complaint, Tina. Once inalaw nila to and we are given a chance to consolidate and to have the witnesses, Zaldico will be one of our major witness.
I-add ko lang bakit si Zaldico is the best witness sa kickbacks issue ng aming complaint. He is a co-conspirator and under the rules of evidence, a co-conspirator can be presented as a witness. Kaya hindi nila pwedeng sabihin walang alam si Zaldico. Siya ang may alam. And besides, he is the former chair of the Appropriations Committee of the House of Representatives. Klaro yan.
Follow up lang dun, sir.
Teka, isa-isa. Saan muna? Dito. Okay, go ahead.
Follow up lang po dun sa pag-testify or willingness to testify ni Zaldico dun sa impeachment complaint po ninyo. So, kasi yesterday you did not leave a copy with the Office of the House Secretary General. Are you planning to return? Paano po siya mag-testify doon sa inyong impeachment complaint kung wala pa pong nakahain?
Nakalagay dito sa impeachment, kung di tanggapin.
Hindi, kasi yesterday, sir, di ba, hindi tinanggap. Tapos
Unang-una,
wala pa kayong
hindi tayo nag-iwan. Una sa lahat, ang nag-iwan ka? Oh, anyway, ang point kasi kahapon, parang nung nag-iwan, tumawag ako kay Makabayan Black, sa isang kasama nila. Sabi ko, anong nangyari? Sabi nila, in fact, one congressman who is part of us, who is part of the impeachment complaint, called us up. Sabi niya, hindi tinanggap yung kay Makabayan Club. Sabi ko, ha? Hindi tinanggap? Posible ba? Sabi niya, hindi ko alam eh. Pero nag-usap sila sa loob. So, tinawagan ko si anyway, may tinawagan ako doon. Sabi niya, hindi tinanggap and nandun kami sa loob. Sabi ko, ganoon, pwede ba? Sabi niya, nagtataka na nga rin kami. So, kami na yung pababa, sabi niya, sige, pag tinanggap yung impeachment ninyo, susunod kami. Sabi ko, anong ginawa ninyo? Nag-iwan kami. Sabi nila sa amin, anong gagawin ninyo? Sabi ko, kung mag-iiwan kami, walang saysay dahil baka ibasura lang nila. No one wants to sign, no one wants to recognize. Although, magaling naman yung mga abogado natin, we took video, we took photos to show that we were there. In fact, si Attorney Manning, nilalapag yung mga papel namin, pati evidence, sabi ko, Attorney Manning, ba't mo ginagawa yan? Paano kung hindi tanggapin? Which nangyari nga. Hindi nga tinanggap.
So, sa ang complaint, you mean you're going to refile it before the office?
Pag-usapan namin after nito. What action to take?
Okay,
I-add
kasi
ko lang yung ginawa namin, as explained by former Congressman Secretary Mike, we tendered the complaint. Kaya nilatag namin mga ebidensya pati yung complaint. In the constitutional sense, not physical, legal, we have already submitted a complaint. In the constitutional sense, may constitutional violation si Secretary General Garapil. Kaya whether we left a copy or did not, we already tendered the submission of our complaint. Now the ball is in the hands of Garapil. And we will file charges against her.
Okay. Sir, kasi di ba you said Zaldico is willing to testify. Now you don't have a complaint before the Office of the House Secretary General at the moment. So does this mean po doon sa Makabayan complaint po ba siya magte-testify or doon po ba sa first impeachment complaint?
Well, unang-una, Vivian, Mike was saying that on the premise na tatanggapin yung complaint namin. Doon siya magte-testify. Halimbawa, nakarating sa Committee on Justice. We will make him, kasi nandito yung kanyang narration of facts kay Saldi. He will testify on the fact that we have submitted. Pero kung hindi nila kami bibigyan, wala kaming chance makapag-present sa kanya. Get na my point?
Ganito nangyari, di ba? Ang tinanggap lang yung kay... hindi, Jesus. Yung kay Makabayan, hindi. Yung Makabayan hindi tinanggap, sa amin hindi rin tinanggap. Hindi, wala. Nag-iwan sila. Okay, pero alam nila hindi tinanggap. Ang sabi sa akin nung kausap ko, they will file on Monday. Sabi niya, kayo ba? Sabi ko, parang ako personally, which I mentioned yesterday, parang ayoko. But of course, we would have to discuss. Mag-uusap-usap kami. Yung binanggit ni Congressman Pras, si Saldico kasi is part of the impeachment charge. Nandito siya. And he signified his willingness to be a witness on that particular charge.
In other words, he is willing to corroborate our allegation, if ever. Kung bigyan kami ng chance na mapasok sa Committee on Justice.
Sir, ulit, para malinaw. Zaldico is willing to testify in case your complaint reaches the House Committee on Justice. Now, your complaint was not received. So technically, wala pang pagtetestifayan si Zaldico at this point. Since sinasabi niyo sure na magtetestify si Zaldi, pero hindi pa rin kayo definite na re-refile nga kayo sa Monday?
Yeah. Ang akin lang is that we will discuss it. We will fight. We will not take the sitting down. We will file a case definitely against the SecGen's office. As to the legal course of action, we would have to sit down with the lawyers because we have iba-ibang pananaw or interpretation on how to address this. So, yun lang yung aming gagawin. But we will not take this sitting down na tapos na. Pinabayaan na namin. No, we will not do that. We feel that more than personal, it's our responsibility to the Filipino people to put these charges in play and for the President to answer and to respond dun sa charges namin.
Okay, sir. Para lang walang magkamali. Okay. Sure nakakasuhan niyo po si SecGen Cheloy Garafil for violation of the Constitution. Kung ano po ang ifa-file nyo before the Supreme Court, pag-uusapan pa lang. Okay. With regards to the impeachment complaint against President Bongbong Marcos, pag-uusapan nyo if you will refile or quits. Kakalimutan nyo na.
There is an alternative kasi it's either we will file it on Monday, which we will forfeit our filing sa Supreme Court at the moment, or we will go directly to the Supreme Court and do not file it anymore. Okay?
Saan po yung tanong sa likod? Kanina? Yes. Go ahead. Yes, I do not know if yun na yun. Sa mga kasama, I'm not sure. Nabasa nyo na lahat? Nabasa ni Atty. Manny?
Or news articles may...
Narinig ko yung Jesus na slang magsalita. Narinig ko lahat na sinasabi niya. It's more of motherhood statement lahat yung sinasabi.
Yes.
Walang details, walang ebidensya, wala lang.
But if I may state lang, sir, kasi everything that you've said are also the same grounds po na nilatag ni Attorney Andre De Jesus. If I may just state lang po kung ano yung mga nilatag niya. Articles, yung sa mga grounds po niya, nilagay po niya doon, culpable violation of the Constitution, betrayal of public trust, at graft and corruption. Particularly, sinabi niya doon yung pagpapahintulot or isinuko ni PBBM si FPRRD sa ICC, nang inaresto po siya, kabiguang i-veto yung unprogrammed appropriations, nakasaad din po doon na nag-commit daw po ng graft and corruption si PBBM dahil sa pagbenepisyo ng kickbacks mula doon sa ghost flood control projects. And sinabi rin po doon yung unfit to serve po bilang Pangulo itong si PBBM dahil sa umano'y drug addiction nito, which you also mentioned po kanina. And ang additional nga po doon sa sinabi doon sa articles po ni Attorney Andre is binuong pangaraw ni BBM yung Independent Commission for Infrastructure dahil umano para protektahan yung kanyang mga kaalyado. So, just to sum up po, basically what we heard this afternoon was also like the same grounds for impeachment po na inilatag ni Attorney Andre De Jesus. So, if I may ask, kasi I've heard yesterday you call it a weak impeachment complaint and you fear na ito po yung may initiate sa Committee on Justice. But it's also the same articles of impeachment po na nilalatag po ninyo ngayon. Your comment po, Attorney.
Yes.
Account.
Number one, nung nagsalita ako nung una, I did not immediately discount the Attorney De Jesus impeachment complaint. In fact, what I said was, kung papasok yung kay Attorney De Jesus, papasok ang Makabayan Block impeachment, papasok yung amin impeachment, it will be good. And we can consolidate the impeachment complaints in the Justice Committee hearing. Nung binara kami at hindi pinapasok yung Makabayan Block at hindi pumasok yung aming complaint, alam ko na moro-moro ang gagawin. Kasi dalawa ang consideration sa Committee on Justice. There is form and there is substance. So pwedeng pumasok siya sa form as motherhood statement saying all this, all that, but without substance, without evidence, without proof to show yung assertion mo, then it will also be dismissed by the Committee on Justice. So very, very critical sa akin yung action na ginawa ng Secretary General's Office. And I'm saying now, because of that action, in totality, hindi lang ang Speaker of the House, kundi ang Presidente mismo involved sa pag-block ng impeachment complaint na ito. Ayaw nilang pakinggan at ayaw nilang sagutin yung hinain ng taong bayan. Lahat tayo dito, involved sa graft and corruption, lahat galit. Anong sabi ngayon ng survey? 68% want the impeachment complaint. Lahat gustong malaman ano ba ang ginawa ninyo. Sino ba ang accountable dito? Why did you block us all of a sudden? For a ministerial process, procedure. Pumunta ka ngayon kahit anong opisina dyan sa City Hall, katapat natin. Magbigay ka ng sulat, i-receive ng mga opisina ng konsihal. Pumunta ka sa Mayor's Office, i-receive ng Mayor's Office. Dito, binabaan kami. Attorney Salonga, Executive Director. Sabi ko, can you receive? I cannot. Can anyone receive? Kahit ministerial yung taon yung nasa harapan, they cannot. It is not only that they are not authorized, but they are rejecting our submission. Walang gustong tumanggap. So I'm saying now, that is a scam. The De Jesus impeachment complaint is a scam. It does not only involve the Secretary General's office, it involves the leadership of the House and the President himself. Thank you.
Just want to add, the proper term in law is implicate. It implicates the highest official of the land, the Speaker of the House, the Secretary General, and their cohorts or co-conspirators. This is the first time that this happened. Nung Bautista impeachment, hindi kami blinak. In-accept ang aming impeachment complaint. Walang sekjen noon. Ang deputy ang nag-accept ng aming impeachment. Kaya may president sa House. Kaya ang ginawa nila sa amin ay paglagpastangan sa konstitusyon at yon ang magiging mitya ng kanilang additional na pananagutan. I would like to congratulate our people for siding with us. That 68% na accent ng tao sa survey ng Tangere ay indication na gusto ng karamihan ng Pilipino ng katotohanan. Gusto nila malaman ang katotohanan. Please don't block, Mr. President, the impeachment proceedings para maklear ho kayo. Otherwise, magiging mancha po yan sa inyong administrasyon at baka mapasagot kayo sa ibang paraan. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, just in case po na, okay, nakalusot yung inyo pong impeachment complaint sa Justice Committee, pero hindi nila tanggapin si Zaldico as your state witness, meron pa ba kayong ibang personalities na pwedeng ipantapat as a state witness kay Zaldico?
As it is, when we filed the impeachment, yung evidence namin can stand. Yun na yun. Kung ano yung final namin, the evidence stands. Kung meron pang, at sigurado kung marami pang lalabas, of course, it can happen. If you recall in the impeachment proceedings of, well, at that time, kay Erap Estrada, there were additional witnesses who came out. Pero dito, it will stand. Even in the House Committee on Justice hearings, may ebidensya na kami at may mga lalabas pa na maaaring mag-testify doon sa mga sinasabi namin dito.
Politiko rin? Politiko po ba yan? O na mga officials, na dating officials?
Ayoko na mag-dwell doon sa hulaan. Basta sa akin, ang sinabi ko lang is, in particular, kasi si Zaldico, ang main na lumalabas, di ba, on the graft and corruption, that he is willing to be a witness for us. As to the others, andito na ho yung aming ebidensya at kung may karagdagan pa, handa po kami.
Mayroon pa nga kami papatawag na isang senador na kakampi na nila pero nung nagpatawag siya ng hearing, galit na galit siya sa smuggling ng sugar, galit na galit siya kay Marcos.
Okay.
So, hindi ko lang sasabihin ko sino.
Senador ngayon, sir, hindi the former. Okay.
Basically, the reason why this honorable gentleman, Nax, ba, nag-decide sila na mag-file, tas sumama kami, is because yung mga tao kusang loob na nagvo-volunteer na magbigay ng mga ebidensya. So, that itself, ang nagsasabi na marami talagang gustong tumulong para malaman ang katotohanan na nangyayari sa nakawan sa Kabanambayan. Yun lang po.
Okay po. First of all, again, we would like to thank everyone sa kanila pong pagdalo dito. As we promised, we will discuss per article the charges that we have against President Bongbong Marcos. So sa inyo po lahat, maraming salamat. And of course, we will update you on the action that we will take. Kung ano pong gagawin namin dahil nga hindi tinanggap yung aming impeachment case. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat at mabuhay ang Pilipinas.